Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to January 11th, 2022 Mars News. I'm host Peggy.
I'm host Luya.
Today, our program is going to discover some pieces of work that we found on Earth. We have our two reporters, Grace and Jenny, to tell us more. So the first is the paste pot poem. We found 4 pieces of work. Grace, can you tell us what is paste pot poem?
Sure. So the paste pot poem we discovered on Earth are ancient work of scattered letter and illustration glued together. We believe it is the form of art very popular back at Earth in 2022. It is amazing that we could still see those colors remain vividly until now.
Any special about it?
The special thing about it is although it looks very random, it is designed very carefully by author with each word and picture to give a message. It is the beauty of this kind of work. The letters and illustration are all from different places as you can see. The author put them together to express themselves.
And is there any meaning of the work?
Yes, of course. As we studied in the first work, the author designed a small poem about Sleeping Beauty. It says, "Who sleeps alone? Who knocks the door? Who kisses her eye? The pigeons and briar race." As in the second work, it hides a message about God. Reads, "God watches over me. I shall work diligently." As in the third work, it expressed the author's journey in finding God's knowledge, spirit, gift, care, life, compassion, love, and faith. For the last work, it left us a short message. Says, "Creation is limited, God is not."
Thank you, Grace.
The next report is, there are 4 drawings have also been found on the Earth. The expert from lab said that those paintings has been drawn for 1,000 years. Grace, so who are the painters of those 4 works?
Yes, we believe the painter of those 4 works are all very famous and rich artists back in Earth. But they only left their initials, which is very mysterious. We recognize them as Artist Chen, Artist Guo, Artist Guan, and Artist Su.
Great. Grace, so what are on those works?
On the 4 works, they have the traditional view of Chinese mountains and streams. It draws all the beautiful seasons and animals to be appreciated. They also have the realistic paintings such as the first and the last work. They also have the watercolor painting as in the second and third work.
Yes, those paintings looks beautiful. Thank you, Grace.
So the next work is a piece of work that done by a group of people about Psalm 139 in the Bible. So Grace, can you tell us what is the psalm about?
So this psalm is about the presence of people who believe in God. They talk about their mighty God. They believe He is all-knowing, and He could be everywhere, such as in heaven or even at the depths of hell. The believers believe that God would protect them wherever they are. And even if they ascend into heaven or if they made their bed in hell, their God would hold their hands and make their night shine as day for them.
Thank you, Grace.
Another discovery about Christianity. A complete notebook has also been found. This notebook has been written down some thoughtful words. Grace, so what did the author write?
Yes, so in this book, the author writes many works of metaphors about some. It has the personal understanding for each one. For example, we find this work Psalm 139:9. If I take the wings in the morning and dwell to the uttermost part of the sea. It is understood by one author that wherever I go, how far I go, he will always be there with me.
Thank you, Grace. So there's also a drawing in the book, right?
Yes, there's also a beautiful drawing beside the word.
The expert said that this drawing is based on the Bible. How can we know that?
We know it because there is a message beside the picture. We find the words is actually in the Bible. You are clothed with splendor and mighty. They are praising their God's power with those words.
Thank you, Grace.
So the next one is a sonnet. And the author used literature techniques to analyze the sonnet. Grace, can you tell us what is the sonnet about?
Yes, we believe the sonnet is talking about the salvation message from the religion Christianity. It talks about the joyful day of Jesus Christ triumph over the death. He died for the sinners and resurrected 3 days later, and all who believe in him will be saved. It also gives the promise that they will live forever and live in love. And all is my report. That is my report.
Thank you, Grace. Now let's turn to archaeological site. Jenny from Earth is here for us today. Good afternoon, Jenny.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So now I'm in the exact place where we found all of the historical relics, and the building behind me, as you can see, is the exact archaeological site where we found all of the works in it. We found them in a desk in it, actually. And so far we found 2 songs written by 2 different authors.
Does the expert find out the author of those songs?
Yes, the first song was written by Miss Chen, and the second one is written by Miss Guan.
So what are they talk about?
Okay, so the first one, Miss Chen wrote about that it is a song, right? So at first, she described that she was attracted by the beauty of this world instead of the wonders created by God. And she was so attracted by the sound of this world rather than God's voice. And she locked herself down in a thick wall. And then later God's voice just called to Miss Chen, and Miss Chen heard God's voice, and God's voice penetrates through even the thickest wall. And the Lord enters into her heart. Yeah, and the second song, which was written by Miss Guan, Miss Guan wrote that at one time she was anxious and she didn't know what to do in the future, and she felt complex and confused. And later she knew that the only way she can solve this kind of feeling is to turn to God and seek for his help. Then she prayed to God, and God answered her prayer and wiped away every tear for her. Yeah, that's the content.
Thank you, Jenny.
So the next piece of work is that we found a script of play wrote by 4 famous writers. Jenny, can you tell us what is the script about?
Okay, so this script is actually one of the most interesting script that we found this time, because it's actually a adaptation of the classical novel, classical story, fairy tale, Cinderella at that time, which was very famous 1,000 years ago. And the 4 authors gave the Cinderella story a new ending, which was that Cinderella had a son called Philip, and one day someone just gave Philip a gift, which is a toad, and the toad just told Philip everything that he needed to do, and Philip just listened to the toad all the time without thinking on his own. And at last the toad just did some bad things to Philip, and Philip really felt regret, and then decided not to hear what others say to him anymore. He needs to have his own thinking. Yeah. So what is important to this script is that it taught us a moral, which is do not listen to evil. Be careful when you listen to evil, because when you listen to evil, it might overtake you and overcome you.
Thank you, Jenny.
So the next report is, how can we imagine that Asian wanted poster was not looking for the bad people, but looking for the good people? Jenny, so how can we know that?
Okay, so instead of writing the physical appearance on the wanted poster, the 4 posters here, there are only the good and bad personality characteristic written on it. So it's really different from what we know about wanted posters.
Wow, it's really different from today. How about the price?
Okay, so for the first one, which was written by Miss J, her prize was that she will be grateful to the person who found her eternally. And the second one, written by Miss P, her prize was to give the one who found her 100 pounds. Yeah, which was a big value of amount of money at that time, 1,000 years ago. And the third one, Miss L's, her price was priceless because she was too precious to be paid. Yeah, and the last one, there's no any reward on the wanted poster, so that was really interesting.
Great, thank you, Jenny.
So the next one is the story of the wanted poster. So Jenny, can you tell us what is the story about?
Yes. Okay, so the story was written by Miss L, and Miss L record her life through childhood to adult. And at first, Miss L was born in a comparably speaking little city, and she was born with her brother, and their grandma took very good care of them. But they just didn't want to go outdoors, and they always stay indoors. And then later, Miss L went to another city and have a bigger worldview and met lots of new friends. And she developed a new habit of reading novels and reading books, which was very good. And then later, Miss L went to another city, which was bigger, and she developed an even bigger worldview there. So it is actually the story recording of how Miss L developed her characteristics.
Thank you, Jenny.
The next report is, the archaeological team find an original manuscript of a classical story, the boat story. So Jenny, what does the story talk about, and how does it relate with the boat?
Okay, so this story was written by Miss P. It record her travel from, it is actually a travel note from Taiwan to England. That means she actually sailed boat from Taiwan to England, and it took 5 whole years, which is very long. And at first, Miss P stopped in language school in England, and she spent 3 months there and met lots of new friends from different cultures and countries. And then Miss P went to the college. That was later. And then Miss P went to the senior high school for 4 years. And then she learned many knowledges and new things at the college. And then later, the last stop was 1 year in college, and she met some new friends, but because of some reason, she didn't stay in England and returned to Taiwan again. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Jenny.
So our last piece of work is also a boat story, but it's in another point of view. And it is special that the author wrote in the toys view. So Jenny, can you tell us more about this story?
Okay, so this story was a handwritten script. And it is interesting because the main character is a toy dog, and it is all written from the perspective of a toy dog. So at first, the toy dog was on the street, and then a girl bought the toy dog home, and then they had a wonderful time together until they went to another city, and then the girl just saw a boat. Yeah, notice the boat factor here. So the boat theme must be a very popular theme at that time, 1,000 years ago. So the girl saw a boat and she wanted to take the boat, but her mother refused her to do that. So the girl was very angry and she expressed all her anger on the toy dog, and then she threw the toy dog away. The toy dog was very, very sad. And then but luckily another girl found her actually, and then they had another good time together. So like a new life for the toy dog. Yeah.
Thank you, Jenny. These are all our news today. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.